I gave birth to my first and only child while I was in jail. And thankfully, I was in jail, not in prison, because in prison, you're already convicted and you're found guilty. But in jail, you're still fighting your case. So at that point, they have to actually contact your emergency contact if you have an emergency during delivery, which I did. My emergency was I had to be induced. So they called my mom and they were like, hey, this is what's going on. She's having an emergency. And long story short, my mom was able to actually come to the hospital and my son's father, but I was handcuffed to the bed. I was shackled to the bed. It changed. It alternated depending on what was going on. Like while I was pushing, I was handcuffed. So, like this. But while I wasn't pushing, I was shackled and I was there for 5 days. Thank God. By the way, it's unheard of to be there for 5 days. It's usually 24 hours vaginal delivery, 48 hours cesarean. My mom was like, professional courtesy, My mom was like, hey, she's going to go to prison for a while. We don't know how long yet, but can she breastfeed her son? Can she bond with him a little bit? So they extended a little professional courtesy and allowed me to stay for a couple days longer and just extend things. And yeah, I had him in the hospital. I had him in the hospital while I was locked up let me tell you the weirdest part. The weirdest part of having my son while I was in jail was most women that have a baby are familiar with their doctor, their OBGYN, with the hospital. They usually do a tour first. Their husband's in the room, their mom's in the room, whomever. I had a jail guard, a doctor I'd never seen, nurses I didn't know, in a hospital I'd never been to, and I was terrified I was going to poop while I was pushing. So it was a bad situation. Right. And it all happened, by the way. Everything I just named happened. All strangers. And then when I pooped. And then when my son was out and the doctor felt odd. I could tell it was very awkward. He was like, who's going to cut the umbilical cord? And then he called a nurse's name. He was like, Nancy, cut and I was like, I'll cut it. Give him to me. And then he was like, you sure? And I was like, yeah. So he put him in my arms. We had like a skin to skin and I cut the umbilical cord. I was like, well, just me and you, guy. Because we were the only ones in there that knew each other. You know what I mean? Everybody else was a stranger. One of the closest calls where I didn't get caught, you'd think would be when the helicopters were flying over me and the police cars were parked on every other street, but it was not. And all of a sudden I heard a teenage male voice and a mom and groceries and wrestling. And I'm like, what the is going on? So I come out of the master bedroom and I'm in a long hallway. And at the end of the long hallway to the left is the kitchen where I hear the people. And to the right is the garage door. About 5 feet in front of that is the front door to the right. But these people don't even know I'm in their home yet. So I have to get down this long hallway to the front door to get out. And then I have to open the front, unlock it, open it, let it go beep, beep, and then run to my car, which, by the way, my car's in their driveway. So what the hell are they thinking that there's a strange car in the driveway for? I don't know what they're thinking. But anyways, I start walking down the hall and all of a sudden the mom sees the broken glass and she's like, whatever, starts yelling and saying, come here to her teenage son. And as I'm walking down this hall, she's walking on one side of this column that's lining the hallways. There's columns lining the hallway, and I'm rolling around the other side of the column. She's rolling on one side, walking. I'm on the other side. And finally, I make it past her. I'm passing her like this. She's passing me like this. I dart to the front door. I open it. I start running to my car. She's coming behind me. By the time I'm to the end of the sidewalk area, she's at the front door yelling, hey, stop. I'm calling the police. Ma'am, that's not what's going to get me to stop. I met a guy. He didn't know anything about my life. He didn't know how I ended up in that city. That Friday, they raided the house. And he didn't know. So he answers the door and then he gets me and says that the lady's out there to see you with a police vest. And he has no idea that I've ever been a criminal.
He doesn't even know you're on probation?
He doesn't know I'm on probation, Matt. He doesn't know. He thinks I'm in town. He thinks I'm in town for a change of pace and going to this community college because I was overwhelmed with the big university. And he knows nothing.
All right.
Just knows I'm the daughter of 2 doctors and I just needed to slow down a little bit. I was getting a little too rowdy. So now I walk through the door. The lady says, don't make any sudden movements. And the police fly from the trees, the bushes, the sides of the street, everywhere. And at this point, he's already gone back to the room. And when he tells the story, he said he was in the shower. He had just hopped in the shower real quick. And the cop came in and was like, get out the shower. Because they down hard believed he had to have something to do with it.
Right.
There was no way that they thought he was just an innocent bystander. So he thought it was a mistaken identity. He thought it was a case of mistaken identity. And he said that the moment that he looked at me and they said to him, can we search your house because it's in your name, it's not in her, so we can't search the house? And he said, yeah. And I said, don't let him search your house, they don't have a warrant. He was like,
oh damn. What did you get me into?
man.
What
So
normal person says
he looks
that?
at him and he goes, do you have a warrant? And they were like, no. And he was like, he can't search my house. And he was so devastated. And I was like, and then the person was like, well, we'll lock your house up, make you go out and still get a warrant. It'll take like 12 hours, something ridiculous, whatever. But anyways, they lightly searched a little bit and just like looked around, and they were on their way out. However, they looked through the windows on the garage and saw my car that's registered to me in the garage. So they turned their asses back around and searched my car, which is where they found the fake license plates and the necklace, the one necklace. So they took me away for that. I called him, Kyle, it's baby daddy. I called Kyle from booking and I was like, listen, I don't know what I'm going to get, but it's not going to be good. And I have a lot of stuff going on. I don't expect you to ride this out with me. However, all I ask is that when our child is born, because obviously I'm in custody now, so baby's being born, you please afford my family the opportunity to have a relationship with him and whatever. And he was like, I'm sticking by you, but you're like the most exciting thing that's ever happened to me. I have my car literally backed up all the way to their front door, over their grass and their sidewalk, looking suspicious as hell, with the trunk open and both back doors open. And as I'm going to my car and I'm like, oh, I'm dragging the safe, I kind of see like somebody moving out my peripheral. And when I look, it's the freaking neighbor. And I have to look at him now because he's approaching. I can see he's moving closer. I pull out my cell phone. I'm like, Mom, I can't believe you have me doing this shit. I'm home from college. You have me taking the safe to your office. I don't even remember the alarm code. The alarm's going off. The safe is heavy as shit. Like, I'm so pissed off right now. This is ruining my vacation, hoping like, so he'll hear me and not think, why is this person pulling a safe out of my neighbor's house?
Right.
So we lock eyes and he's like, sweetheart, you need some help with that? And I'm like, Jesus Christ. Like, no, sir, please go away. Stay over the hell over there. So he doesn't come. But anyways, what ended up happening was I couldn't get it in the trunk, but I was able to wedge it up on my foot. Like I stuck my foot up under it. I wedged it on my foot and then I kind of rolled it on my knee and then I kind of just rolled it into the back seat. The back seat is lower than the trunk.
Yeah.
So I rolled it into my back seat. And it was just crazy, Matt, because this is the thing too. Like one time I was in a neighborhood and this neighborhood was big as shit. And I was like, holy hell, you know what? This is crazy. I got to get out of here. There's helicopters flying over. There's cops parked on every other street. There's got to be like a murderer on the loose. For my safety, I need to leave. And the people were looking for me the whole time. The alarms have been going off one by one, beep, 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 on all these streets. And they had apparently been looking for me for like a while now, a couple months. And I'm just like so dense sometimes that I literally thought there was a murder on the loose in this neighborhood or a hostage situation. I need to get the fuck out of there quickly. Because there was a helicopter and there was all the cops. So I'm just driving out the neighborhood. My hair is blowing in the wind. I got the windows down because I'm still conscious that like, oh shit, I need to, I am burglar in the midst of whatever this guy's doing. Because it has to be a guy doing something crazy in here. In the midst of what he's doing, I still am burglarizing these homes. So Let me not look suspicious. So I roll the windows down. I turn the music up and I'm like, woo! Singing, whatever. And I'm riding out the neighborhood. And the whole time they were looking for me, I met a guy. He didn't know anything about my life. He didn't know how I ended up in that city. The one necklace that got me caught and sent to prison had like 5 huge diamonds. And I didn't want to melt it because I just knew it was worth something. And I didn't know if it was worth more like intact or if I took the diamonds out and like the gold wasn't much, but I knew the diamonds were like so nice. They were so freaking huge. And they were doing surveillance on his shop. And who do they see coming and going all the time? Me in my car with my license registered to me with my tag, not the fake one. And then what do they see on this girl's record? Burglaries, more burglaries and this and that and whatever. They followed me a little bit. They never caught me doing anything, but because I was on probation and they had the right to search me or my person or my property at any time for no reason at all. That's how they ended up at my house. And they raided it and they found that the one necklace with the 5 big diamonds. And I had found out I was pregnant a week earlier with my first and only child, his first and only child. And he was super excited. That Friday they raided the house. And he didn't know. So like he answers the door and then he gets me and says that the lady's out there to see you with a police vest. And he has no idea that I've ever been a criminal.
He doesn't even know you're on probation?
He doesn't know I'm on probation, Matt. He doesn't know. He thinks I'm in town. He thinks I'm in town for a change of pace and going to this community college because I was overwhelmed with the big university. And like, he knows nothing.